So we might be headed to impeachment proceedings. What does this even mean? I asked Chuck Colson. Kind of. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. This is Breakpoint. Even before he was sworn into office, President Trump's political opponents were talking impeachment. Still, nothing so far, not pressure from the squad, not the Mueller Report, has been able to move House Speaker Nancy Pelosi from a carefully, politically calculated decision not to impeach. Well, that may have changed. In response to the revelation that President Trump asked the president of Ukraine to investigate Hunter Biden, Pelosi announced she was launching an impeachment inquiry. Even after the release of partial transcripts of the call that was heralded as a smoking gun by some and a nothing burger by others, it's still not clear whether this inquiry will lead to actual proceedings. Still, we're a step beyond where we've been since the 1990s. Two sitting U.S. presidents, Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, have been impeached. Richard Nixon resigned in order to avoid impeachment. In 1998 and 1999, Chuck Colson brought his up-close, intimate, and personal experience with Watergate to bear, along with his biblical worldview, on the Clinton impeachment proceedings. Three of Chuck Colson's observations from those Breakpoint commentaries are, I think, particularly helpful and clarifying for what we likely face now in the coming months. In one commentary, Chuck noted that many people didn't understand what impeachment is and how it works. I think that's just as true today. So here's his helpful explanation.
If the House of Representatives, you see, passes an impeachment resolution this coming week, it does not mean the president is going to be turned out of office. It simply means that the House has made a finding that there is credible evidence, and it then sends the matter to the Senate. The Senate's job will be to decide how to dispose of the matter, do nothing, plea bargain, censure, or conduct a trial. In their wisdom, our founding fathers designed a way we could bring to trial the only man in America who cannot be tried in the courts while he sits in office, the President of the United States. They intended no man to be above the law, a concept that reflects a major Christian contribution to the founding of our nation. The House action will not, I repeat, not, despite what the President's defenders claimed this week, overturn the election results.
And in another commentary, Chuck noted a stark, important difference in how the Watergate investigation proceeded and what he was seeing in the Clinton impeachment procedure.
Nearly 25 years ago, I sat in the witness chair facing the House Judiciary Committee during the impeachment hearings of Richard Nixon. Hardly a happy day, testifying under oath about all the transgressions of Watergate. I left the hearings that night knowing I was going to prison and despondent because I knew that my friend President Nixon would soon be out of office. But in a sense, I had a renewed confidence in the system. The reason was that the congressmen seemed genuinely concerned about upholding the law. Even the Republicans, mostly partisan defenders of Nixon, recognized that the integrity of the presidency was on the line, and what was right had to take priority over politics. I was reassured, even though I was on the losing end, that the American system was stronger than any man or partisan interest.
Chuck went on to note how those days were over, replaced by a culture in which political leaders were unwilling to put national interest above political ideology, and in which citizens had lost their confidence in the American system. I can only imagine what he'd think now. My guess is he'd add a loss of civic knowledge and a lack of public virtue to this analysis. Still, in Chuck's final analysis, after the Senate, wrongly in his view, acquitted President Clinton, he reminded us that all the events of the cultural moment must be understood in light of something bigger, something unchanging, and ultimately sure.
And for all of us who are Christians, regardless of how we view Friday's vote, let us be reminded, we serve a God who rules over the affairs of men, whether they know it or not.
That was true in 1972, in 1998, and it remains true today. For Breakpoint, I'm John Stonestreet.